So let me just start with a couple of preliminary remarks. The first one is that I will look at the financial services from a slightly different angle because I work for an insurance company. And the second one is, sorry, my friends, but you like it or not, I will not be talking about ChatGPT. So, clicker, thank you. Just a few words, a few figures about the company I work for, just to put the use case I will be describing into context. Unipol-Sai and the Unipol Group is actually the market leader in non-life insurance in Italy, and among others, it runs the largest UBI program, MTPL program in Europe, with something like around 4 million devices installed on insured vehicles. And this means GPS data that we can use, and we will see how we used those data and integrated those data for a slightly different purpose than the one that they will be collected for. And yeah, I work for a captive solutions provider that is called Leitao. We are around 100 tech and data professionals, and we develop solutions basically for the core business of the group that is, again, mostly property casualty insurance. I will use the description of a data product that we started developing actually during the very first days of a not so nice event that you might have heard of. That is a flooding event that hit Emilia-Romagna last May 2023. And in the very first days right after the event, we started developing the data product that I will be describing, and I will try to use this use case to, expose a bit more, general principles that we adhere to. So the very first need that they have, that the company had, and when this kind of events happen, is the most timely and high resolution definition of flooded areas. Because if you are able to early detect with high resolution the flooded areas, then you are able to set up the first phases of the claims handling process in a timely fashion, and this of course reduces a lot the cost of an event like this for basically all the stakeholders, not only for the insurance company, but also for the insured people and for like SMEs that can recover in a timely fashion and be able to go back to their normal economic life cycle. So the need was to have an accurate and timely estimate of the flooded areas. So access data, I have used as an example the climate data store of Copernicus, that is the EU Earth observation program. Of course, we make heavy usage of, we leverage a lot on the data from the climate data store of Copernicus. I took it as an example of the way we access data, because basically we could not find a better way to access data than having devoted data teams with vertical expertise on specific data domains. Because it sounds like obvious, or it is obvious. It sounds obvious because it is obvious that all the nitty-gritties of the data acquisition and manipulation process, those nitty-gritties have a great impact on the final data product that you develop and on the use and on the business use that you make of the data product that you are developing. So this means that we have a data team that is basically dedicated to weather climate data with specific expertise on that kind of data and on the entire pipeline from acquisition to manipulation, storage, and then usage in the single business case. What we used specifically for developing the data product for the flooding event in Emilia-Romagna is actually data coming from a network of ground radars. So what you can almost see here, is a map that is based on radar reflectivity. It's just an indirect measure of precipitation. And, but you can also hopefully see from the color map that the event in May in Emilia-Romagna was not entirely explained by precipitation. So you don't see red or yellow areas. You just see a whole blue map. That means not so heavy precipitations, but for a long time. So precipitation and radar reflectivity as an indirect measure of precipitation was not enough to have high-resolution measures of the flooded areas. So we started integrating digital terrain and elevation models. If you mix precipitation data or indirect measures of precipitations based on radar reflectivity and digital terrain models, you can produce indices that kind of give you a rough estimate of the probability that that kind of precipitation event resulted in a flooding event. But again, what you can also see from this map is that the estimate that we came up with is really, quite smoothed and not really a high resolution, and it was just impossible to distinguish, for example, within a single city, whether what kind of part of the city was hit the most by the flooding event. You see an entire red area. But that's not sufficient for setting up the claims handling process and sending assessors to a specific area of the city when that area was accessible. So basically, we went a step further based on a very simple concept. The concept is that if on a road you have 1 meter high, you have 1 meter of water, then you will not see cars circulating on that road anymore. So this is a typical day in Faenza. The yellow dots are just triplets of latitude, longitude, speed, measured by the 4 million devices I briefly mentioned. And the typical day in Faenza looks like this. I have mentioned, this step of the pipeline as an example of data governance and data privacy, because these are really triplets: latitude, longitude, speed. No matter who produced, no matter what device produced that single GPS coordinate. And you will see in a moment that not only we used anonymous data, but we also aggregate those data to add an additional level of security privacy. And while the yellow dots are a typical day in Faenza, the black dots are one of the days of the flooding events. And you can easily see, even at a glance, that there's an entire yellow area that is not covered anymore by the black dots, meaning that most likely that area of the city was the one that was hit the most by the flooding events. Not by chance, it's the area of the area of the city that is closest to the river. So in the end, what we did, mixing up, weather climate data and mobility data coming from the black boxes of the insured people, is that we aggregated those data through a GeoHash, so just a grid of Italy to further implement privacy issues or be compliant with privacy issues, and mounted a simple time series approach to detect anomalies in traffic, both in terms of number of vehicles and in terms of speed of the vehicles. Because what you typically see in the mobility patterns is that the lower the number, the higher the speed. It's a typical weekend pattern, around urban urban cities or installations or stuff like that, just because during the weekend less people travel and they can travel faster. While in the case of a flooding event, what you can see is that a lot less people travel, and the ones who still travel slowly. So we just developed, as I said, an anomaly detection time series approach to both on the count of black boxes and on the speed, and derived the anomalies that you can see here represented with yellow rectangles. So the yellow rectangles are all the GeoHashes where we found for that specific day, 16th of May, anomalies in mobility, as I said, both in terms of count and of speed. And while the red dots are the claims that have been filed for that specific area. And here, yes, you can see the high resolution detection of the flooded areas. The region that was hit the most by the event was the southeast, and it's exactly there where we had most of the claims. I mean, this data product, of course, allowed us to, as I said, speed up the claims settlement process. Sand assessors have early warning, estimates of the potential damage or the potential impact, economic impact of such an event, without, the need of sending assessors throughout Emilia-Romagna, especially, in such kind of events where, accessing the areas is not easy at all. What we are doing now is that we are moving from time series to, say, computer vision. We are basically reproducing an approach that has been originally developed by DeepMind on radar reflectivity. We have already adapted that approach, generative adversarial neural networks, on radar reflectivity to the data we have in Italy to produce, say, loss prevention alerts for very short-term weather forecasts. But the very same approach, we are now adapting it to, again, GPS data coming from the black boxes. Because if you think at the data that is behind this kind of approach, that is every 10 minutes we get a map of Italy, then you can easily aggregate GPS data the very same way and have, say, every 10 minutes the number of cars that you saw traveling in a certain GeoHash, and then you can try to mount a GAN to forecast the next 10 minutes traffic conditions, so to say. We will be using this new version of the data product because as a reference point, and especially when we will not be able to predict correctly what we then will be observing, then we could argue that a certain anomaly happened, and we hope that this would allow us to use this kind of approach not only for events like a flooding event with a huge footprint, both spatial and time, both in space and time, a huge footprint, but also for detecting events that have a smaller impact in terms of space or time, like flash floods or hailstorms or stuff like that. I think that's all for the use case I wanted to describe. Everyone knows what grazie means, so that's why I left it in Italian.
Even from Australia. Thank you very, very much. Question. What does this mean for overseeing, I asked the same question to the other team about the evaluation of property. If you have really long-term forecasts like this and data sets that you're putting together, what does that mean for the responsibility of governments to respond, for people to perhaps move from areas that are at risk? And to what extent do you share this information with reinsurers?
What, sorry?
To what extent do you share this information with reinsurers or other businesses?
Yeah.
Any questions? If anyone has any other questions, please put your hand up and we can come around with a mic. There's a question over here. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we have continuous discussions with municipalities because, of course, one thing is protecting the competitive advantage that this kind of information might generate, and we hope that it generates. On the other hand side, especially, when an event like this with such a huge footprint for the entire country and for the entire economic system of a country happens, then we have frequent discussions with municipalities and all authorities in charge of settling up the rescue plans. That we make sure that they can profit from this kind of data and from this kind of analysis. And I don't know if you mentioned reinsurers.
Very important topic and very dear to my heart. I don't think many people get excited about reinsurance, but they obviously don't understand it or think enough about it because it underpins everything.
We also use heavily this kind of information towards reinsurers, especially to justify the fact that we don't care about aggregating claims coming from different areas at a different time span. What we really care about, and even more than for the flooding event in Emilia-Romagna, in these days we are discussing about the events of end of July. We use this kind of information to discuss about the possibility to aggregate not only based on contractual timely clauses or stuff like that, but based on the meteoclimate rationale of this kind of events.
Thank you. Always with the lawyers. You just want to keep them far away. Question over here at the front.
Hi. Just a very quick question. Maybe I've misunderstood the methodology that you've used, but was there not an opportunity to use kind of satellite imagery potentially I understand you probably maximized the data that you had available, but it kind of feels like it's working around the data that you had available, and there might have been a faster path to value on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Copernicus too has an emergency management system that delivers a high-resolution analysis, say, based on satellite imagery. The point is availability of high-resolution images, and if you rely on what has been made available through the Copernicus climate data stories, the resolution is not always as high as we would like it to be. And on the other hand side, if you want high-resolution satellite imagery, they are still very costly.
Is calibration and validation of the data from satellites also an issue? Sorry, this is a really nerdy question off the back of yours.
This would be one potential story point to develop in the roadmap of the data product, because you might purchase some satellite imagery, high resolution for a certain event, and use that as the ground truth for calibrating the time series or computer vision, whatever approach that you want to use for utilizing mobility data to estimate this kind of events. Yes.
I'm going to stop asking all the nerdy questions because I could talk about CalVal for hours again. Repertoire of nerdiness. Thank you so much. If you can give him a round of applause for such a wonderful presentation.
Thank you.